Okay, I started my introduction. I started my introduction and I forgot to add myself to the stage. Hey everyone, welcome to this very special series of live streams where we're going to be working on an interesting problem. We've heard from lots of developers that they want to get better output from code gen tools and things like that with Angular. So I thought it could be really interesting if we started to build some of the prompts together. And here's where you at home get to support this effort. During our time together, like in the chat, put in your comments, put in some things that you want to try, put in some of your frustrations or wins or things that work for you. Because what we would love to do is create sets of prompts that can help developers everywhere build excellent apps with AI tools support, right? So this is about the code generation side of the story and not so much about adding a feature to your application. We will do more of those streams. Okay. I know you all love those streams. We love doing them. We're going to do so many more of these things. I just having a good time. Let's see who's in the building. We got people in the building. People have been here for a while. Okay. Dracus, what up? How are you? Lars, hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Koduku 169, what's going on? Dev Jr., what's up? Hello, friends. Oh, the dad. All right. Sounds good. Hello, RSD Journey. What's going on? Kamlesh, hello from India. Hey, send lots of love your way. Michael Small in the building. What's up, Michael Small? All right. Sidhansu, hello, 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 hello. Capsa, hello. How are you? Hello, hello, hello. Okay, let's see. Merhaba from Egypt. Okay. All right, let's get Rody. I'm gonna make sure Rody's gonna be in the building soon. So we got a very special guest. I don't know if you can tell by my attire. I am wearing a Firebase Studio shirt today because that's the tool we're gonna be using for today's session. So that's very, very, very good. Very, very, very good. Hello. Let's see who else we got. We got hello. All these friends, people are here. What's going on? Hello, hello, hello from Ukraine. What's up? What's up? What's up? Hello from Chile. Hello, hello, hello. So many people in the building. We're so super excited. All right, we're just waiting on our guests. Oh, can you tell my shirt? Let me see. Let me just model my shirt off to you friends at home for a second. See this? Got my Firebase Studio shirt on. No, I'm not joining the Firebase Studio team. I just have this shirt, and I thought it'd be fitting to wear this shirt today for this stream. So, okay, as we're waiting for our guest of honor to join us today, I would love to hear in the chat, if you're watching at home in the chat, let me know about your experiences so far using tools to generate Angular code. What has worked for you? What hasn't worked for you? Would love to hear from that. All right. Let's see. We said hello to you. Hello from Liechtenstein. Awesome. Awesome. We got people in the building. All right. Let me have a look here. All right. All right. As we're going. So many windows. All right. I'm sending Rody a message, let him know we're live. And the people are ready for you to join us. Okay. Awesome. All right. Let's see what people are saying. Oh, let's go. Joe in the building. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Hello, everyone. Listen, you should start saying that. That should become your call sign. Hello, everyone. All right, we got to join. But all right, so people are coming in. It's great to have everybody here. We should be pretty good to go. Our guest Rody works on the Firebase Studio team, which is so exciting. I'm so glad that he's going to be hanging out. Oh, I wonder. Okay, this would be funny. Let me see something real quick. Is okay. Hold on 1 second, friends. 1 second. Okay, this is funny. He is in a meeting waiting for me. Give me a second. Okay, so Rody was in the meeting waiting for me to join. So that's where he is, but he'll be right over, which we're going to get started very, very soon. Very excited. GitHub Copilot with Claude on the 4. It's a pretty decent start. Gemini 2.5 Pro is great for refactoring and continued development. Oh, I want to know more about this. I want to know a lot more about what you mean when you say refactoring. Well, I know you mean by refactoring, but what kind of prompts are you using when you say continued development? That's interesting. Super interesting. Resource, HTTP resource, why? I'm going to answer this question while we wait. Here's what's really interesting about Angular right now. So we have been introducing our fully fledged new reactivity system that's based on signals, right? And so when you're working with some tasks, it would be really nice if you can get those values exposed as signals, because here's what signals give you. Here's one of the big things they give you. You're not having to manage the changes. It's reacting to changes in the data, and you get the latest value yourself. You're not having to dig deep into this. So if you think about, like, what about an asynchronous task, right? Like an asynchronous data fetching and then you get the data, and then you can rerun that. Okay, let me say it a different way. So for resource in the case, you can base it on a signal value. Let's say a user ID. That user ID changes. You don't want to have an event handler that you didn't have to be responsible for. And then you're like, okay, well, did this value change? If the value changed, let me run this asynchronous event, and then let me like track the value. You can do a different way. You can base your resource on a reactive value like a signal, and then it'll rerun whatever asynchronous data fetching that you're doing for you. And then on top of that, you get nice parts of the application working for you, meaning like you get things like the status of the loading, and if there's an error, and all this exposes a signal. So that's why you have these things. The HTTP resource is just a specialized version of a resource which is focused on fetching data. Hopefully that's helpful to you. Hopefully that's helpful. Firebase Studio is the only AI workspace that works good with Angular projects for me. I love hearing that. I love hearing that. Oh, I think Rody loves hearing that too. Rody, you came right on time. Somebody just said the nicest thing about Firebase Studio. Oh, as I'm twinning with the Firebase Studio shirt today. It says Firebase Studio is the only AI workspace that works good with Angular projects for me. Love to hear that. That's really exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Or let's see, I use Cursor in my Angular app. All right. Well, I want to learn more about why you use Cursor and what's working, what's not working for you. Because what we care about is that whatever you're building with, it's serving your needs. That's what we care about the most. Today, we're talking about Firebase Studio because we have some really great features there. But whatever you use what you use. Oh, here's a good thing. Joe also comments, not all data fetching happens with the HTTP client, i.e. SDKs. That's true. That is very, very, very true. Okay, let's see. I saw a PR by HTTP resource docs. Yes, we have more docs coming. Okay. If you have more questions about Angular, go ahead and put them in the chat. We can answer those separately. But we have a very special guest in the building. So I've actually known our guest, Rody, for a long time. We both come from a different community before we joined Google, and we both ended up working on different products and not that thing. Rody, how did we meet? Well, first, introduce yourself. Tell people what you work on.
Yeah, so my name is Rody. I am one of the DevRel leads for Firebase Studio and kind of helping people get started with templates, working with different frameworks. I've been pretty involved in the Flutter community and a variety of frameworks and exploring a lot of different things.
Yeah, fantastic. So now people don't know this about us, Rody. How did we actually meet though in real life before Google and before what we work on now?
When was the first time? That would have been at the Flutter Interact.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, 2019. Wow.
Both were Flutter developers, just thriving in the Flutter community, contributing, adding lots of value. And I think we both actually applied for the same job at Google.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it ended up being a manager role too.
That's right. It was a manager role. And I remember getting interviewed, and they were just like, yeah, we like you, but not for a manager. And I'm like, all right.
Exactly. Same.
All right. That's cool. I'm not offended by that.
Yeah.
Oh man, how fun. How fun. And now here we are both working on very different products, but both having a good time. All right, let's see. I haven't tried Angular Studio yet, albeit I feel a bit hesitant on what I'm planning to start using it after today. Angular Studio, I think you mean Firebase Studio. And speaking of Firebase Studio, here's Firebase Studio in the flesh. So I have it up on the screen, and we're going to do some stuff together because, Rody, here's what I would like to do today. I would like to use, I think we're calling it like How do you describe the non-app prototype mode? What's the language that you use?
We've been saying code view or just the normal IDE view. We view when you're building with natural language, that's our prototyper, app prototyping agent. So everything else is just the default experience, which
Okay.
we really think is super awesome, and I use all the time. So I'm excited to dive into it today.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the benefits of the IDE view or the code view is that you still have access to an AI assistant, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. In
So
fact, you'll be
yeah.
able to choose your own model, bring your own API key. You can even connect to a fine-tuned model too in the picker, which is great.
Oh, excellent. So what I would love to do is see how can we configure in Firebase Studio a way to tell it how to generate even better Angular code.
Awesome.
All right, awesome. So let's do this. So I think the best thing or it's not the best thing, the first thing I can do is we have so down where it says start coding an app. I'm gonna zoom in just so people can see what I'm doing down here. We got a lot of options from different products. Let me see. Let me hide this little thing down here. Okay, y'all can't see it, but I can see it. All right, so I'm gonna choose. Hey, Flutter, what's going on? I'm gonna choose Angular from this list.
Cool. You want to also show them where the second place they can find it too.
Oh, please, let's go back. Okay, show me.
So
Let's see.
click on New Workspace.
Okay, so I'm gonna go down here, click on New Workspace.
Yeah, when people first come to Firebase Studio, they may not realize we have over 160 plus templates configured for a lot of different stacks and frameworks and languages. So if you come here, one of the first things you'll see is Angular, and you can even scroll down and there's a bunch of other templates that you might be used to or
Oh, let's
have tried out in
go.
the community. So there's many more that we're always building. And if you ever have feature requests or want an update, please let me know. And then also we accept community templates too. So you could just make a PR and support your favorite framework.
Look at this. This is amazing. Okay. I don't know that I spent as much time. So before Firebase Studio and Project IDX started,
Mhm.
became the same product. I had only used just like going straight into one of the. So I didn't even see some of these things. This is fantastic. So you can just go to the. So let me remind people how I got here before.
Yep,
All
just
right.
new workspace.
Yeah,
Yep,
from new workspace right there. Got
that's
it.
right. Hmm.
Awesome. All right, let's pick Angular and then let's actually get to this stuff. So I want to say this is I always call my projects. I'll just say what we're doing today. We're gonna say like AI Dev XP. So some experiments working with AI development because I love the idea of using. I do accept the terms. I love the
Yeah.
idea of using, AI assistant to help boost my work. I mean, I like it. I know some people are kind of on the fence about it. I like it. I
Oh yeah.
like it.
So, curious your thoughts on how you've been able to approach using AI assistants, because I definitely have thoughts too on being an experienced developer and trying to
Mhm.
find ways to amplify your workflow as opposed to slowing it down.
Good question. Mm. So recently, I just made a multiplayer web-based game app that had like three different like UIs, like a admin view, a player view, and a spectator view. And for me, the way I was able to have it leverage things is when I knew exactly what I wanted to happen, I would start describing the actual code that I wanted
Yep.
in the comment, and then I will let Gemini fill in the gaps. But sometimes I really wanted the ability to just have it like not do anything. Like I know what I'm gonna type. I don't even want your help right now. Like I know what I'm gonna type. Like don't suggest anything. All the intelligence windows, the Gemini suggestions, I want everything off for a second, so that way I can actually just type what I'm gonna type. So I've been doing some good stuff like that. That's been really working for me. What about you?
So I feel like I have been doing what I'm calling compressed or condensed RAG, where I'm using Gemini Deep Research or Notebook LM to explore a body of research or something I'm trying to do. And my goal of that is to take a huge breadth for search. So I'm giving it a bunch of links to documentation. I'm using Gemini Deep Research to do expanded search queries, and I'm having it generate some kind of report. So what I do is I take
Mm.
that report, convert it to Markdown, and I include it in my code base. And then I generate a prompt based on that piece of research because it doesn't let the model have to guess about what it needs to explore. I've regularly started building with languages that is not even in the training data set, or things that are very new because you're teaching it and guiding it. And the more explicit you can be about the architecture and the vision that you have for it, I mean, you can get really, really far. And one of the things that I've heard recently that I thought was really nice is when you're prompting a model, it's a reflection of what you're putting into it. So the higher quality input you put in, the higher quality output you're going to get out. As well as if we start to think about prompting like image generators, right?
Mm-hmm.
You never are confused if you tell someone a dream with like 2 sentences and they didn't see exactly what you were seeing in your head. You have to be very descriptive and elaborate to get that point across, because communication is how we like actually connect and describe our intent.
Wow. Okay, so I feel like you and I should do more streams together, because I would
Yeah,
love to see your condensed rag like in action. I think the people in the community would love to see it as well, about
awesome.
how they can leverage this type of stuff. So you've already committed yourself to doing more of these with us.
Sounds good.
All right, friends. So while we were describing all that stuff, the cool thing that happened so far,
Yep.
and listen, I'm not. Let me be super clear, friends at home. Like the Angular community, we know that you put our trust in us. I'm not trying to sell you on Firebase Studio. Let me be super clear. I'm just describing the things that are happening, and we're just going to work on it. If you like what you see, that's different. But this is not like a marketing pitch, okay?
Yep.
But I'm just going to describe what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So we start the project. It looks like it did the npm install for me already, and it started the server. And all I did was just create the thing. I did have to install the extension manually, which is fine, but it prompted me, which is
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, which
All
we could even fix that in the future too. We one of the cool things about if you go to the dev.nix file, is
Yeah.
under IDX folder, you can
Mhm.
set the extensions that you want installed when the workspace is created. Also, just wanted to say, Firebase Studio, for those on the stream that may not be familiar with it, is not trying to really compete with local development. We see it as a parallel. One of the things we're trying to do is make it really easy to collaborate with people. We all know people that we run into that are new to development, or maybe have a lower spec machine or even a Chromebook or an iPad and want to like get started with something. Well, now you can share a link with someone on Firebase Studio, and they can explore Angular without having anything installed. So it's been like a really cool way to like teach people how to use a certain type of framework without them having to invest into trying to figure out how to set up their path or get npm or node installed locally.
Okay, there we go. So we got that working. So I just,
Right on.
as you were talking, I just want to see what will happen. Like can we get some stuff working? Right. Awesome. All right, so let's see. Let's get some community comments. Still don't use much AI in my workflow, but all these streams have been tempting to see how others use it. Yeah, I mean
Awesome.
that's how I started. I really was kind of like, I don't know about it in my workflow, because I know what to do, just like you, Michael, and many of you on the stream. You already know what to do, so that's not as interesting to you. But what I found is how much more I can get done. That's been appealing to me. The
Cool.
amount that I can get done.
Yeah, and I guess I could bring up our first thing. Would you want to click the settings icon,
Yeah, I do.
bottom left, and let's do settings.
Mm-hmm.
So for developers coming into this that may not want the full AI assistance right away, we actually offer some options that I think would be already beneficial. So if you type in enable inline completion, yeah, so you can actually disable the inline autocomplete. I know for
Uh-oh.
me personally, sometimes I like to disable that and only work with it through the chat because I want to use the built-in LSB and stuff like that.
Yeah, I just want to zoom in for a second so we can see that. Interesting.
Yeah, and another one is you can even disable code-based indexing as a global value here too. But so just so you know, like if you're coming into Firebase Studio and you're like, I don't want the AI, or I want to be very explicit about what I want to use AI for, we totally have ways to configure that.
Mm-hmm. 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 So I may turn it off at some point
Yeah,
because
it'll be fine for this video, but just some
yeah.
people may not realize that you can turn it off. So
Did not know you could turn it off. Let's go. Okay, let's see. Let's get some more comments. We got people in the streets talking to us. Can you either, yes, this is a good question. Can you do a Git repo or from a local folder?
yes, you can import from GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab, and if we don't support a Git provider, you can always create a blank workspace and clone it through whatever means that you connect to your source control. You can also download your code as a zip file or sync it back to Git. So your code is yours, and you can always go back and forth.
What about this? Can I import existing project to Firebase Studio if I don't want to start from scratch?
Yep. You can import any public or private Git repository, or just upload a folder as well.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Mark, that's next level, bro. Don't delete this VOD. That sounds awesome. Whatever I said that sounded awesome. Then yes.
Yes, +1.
That's right. Okay. I won't, we don't delete our VOD. So whatever it was, it should be good. Awesome. All right. Let's continue. Let's all right. So here's something that I would try to figure out. Okay. So if I wanted to do, and I really don't like this example, but it's the most accessible example, right? It's a to-do app, right? And I know that's the generic example, but it's quite accessible, right? So what I want to be able to do, Rody, is have the assistant generate like modern like code, and I have some guidelines. So if I were to do something like, all right, so I'm gonna have a section here, and then so I'll say list of to-dos, right?
Yep.
With a checkbox. Yeah. To mark. Okay, so it gave me some comments. Hold on. You could tell me how to open up my web window again.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Okay. Because if I close it,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
marker is done. All right. So I want this thing to fill in. Right. So how can I prompt the model to get started right now to do it for me?
So this is what we usually consider as like level 1 AI assistance, where we have autocomplete. And I think it is generally okay for certain types of things. It's way better when you have a lot of existing code. But this can we can now start with the level 2 version, which is where Gemini can actually read your code and make changes. So if you click down Gemini in the bottom toolbar.
Okay, let's see, bottom toolbar. What am I looking? Oh, down here. Yep, I see it.
So this will open up our Gemini chat. Yeah.
Super small. I wish I could zoom in a little bit more, but I'm clicking on the Gemini chat. Okay, there it is.
It usually will launch automatically. One thing that I found to work really well is to provide pseudocode, and you're kind of like doing this here, but we should just be able to, because you're giving that like abstract shape of where you want to head. Is gonna already get closer to what you're wanting. So
okay, I see.
I have found that Gemini and Firebase is really good when you're explicit about the files that you want to update. So you could say like create a to-do component updating both app.html and app.js or whatever, and allow it to know which files to be explicit about.
I see app.html and app.ts
or TS. Or CSS as well. Just like, hey, here's the files that I want you to update, and here, and then start with the changes.
Okay, update both. Okay, and then here's what I want. The component should, because I almost get into like test-driven development mode, like describing the task. Like the component should accept an input with the label of the to-do, the status of the to-do, the status of the to-do. The component should also what it should also do? It should also display. It should also strike through the label if the to-do is marked as complete.
Yeah, and then you can also, just for the viewers' knowledge, you can click the drop-down right there, built-in Gemini model. This is something that Super Chat and our chat inside of Firebase Studio can do, is where you can actually talk to different models and choose the types of experiences you're wanting. Sometimes people want to try out the preview models or custom fine-tune ones. And then also our interactive chat allows you to have multiple chat sessions, so you can go back and see previous ones and kind of jump back in. I would suggest to do a chat per task of what you're trying to do, because it allows you to go back later and to make changes in context of the stuff that you've already done. So we could just use the built-in model. We're using Gemini 2.5.
Oh,
and so this should just be able to work. And then as we make changes, we can talk about how to even improve it even further.
all right. But before we do that, let's see. I use such a workspace for building a small project library like dynamic form builder or dynamic table. Oh, cool. All right, let's see, guys. I use ChatGPT to create well-written prompts, and then I paste them into Firebase Studio. It generates high-quality code. Okay.
Yep. That's a great tip. I also use Gemini Deep Research and Thinking to do the same thing.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, it was your RAG workflow, Rody. No, we're going to do it. Totally.
Cool.
I'm right after this stream, I'm going to put something on the calendar for him to come back and show us this RAG workflow.
Awesome. Sweet.
Yeah, totally going to do that. No, and Alcatraz, do not be sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, like I'm not offended that you weren't talking about something that I said. Like that doesn't matter. No, I think it's cool. Please use Claude.
If you want to install anything else inside this VM, you own it. It's just like a Linux VM. So people come and add their own preferences.
Yeah, use what feels right for you. We're just showing you, so if you think about, like, again, friends, we're still engineers, like all of us. And I mean, people at home too. You're still engineers. So if you think about the way you develop as a system of components working together, you can swap out the components that make the most sense for you at any point, right? And the way that this is working, you can choose your model. Totally possible. All right. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
And also you can deploy to other places too. We're just trying to make it as easy as possible to deploy to Firebase.
Yeah.
So one of the first things it's going to do is read your file. So if you scroll up a little bit, it'll it did right before it showed it, but it'll read the files as context. And so now it's going to start to make changes. You can review changes or add automatically, but this will show the suggested change. So this is for todos.ts.
All right, and I already see some things that I want it to do different.
Cool. So we could follow up in the chat, and you could tell it to do something different too. If you want.
And is there any way that I can do it before we get to the chat level, or?
Yeah, we can customize the AI rules if you want.
Yeah, let's do the AI rules because I kind of want it to always know to do a certain set of things.
Let's do that. Yeah. This at least shows us that this is how you get to the generation mode. So let's go ahead and hit close.
Yeah. All right, so before I open it up, let me talk through these changes with some of our friends at home, the things that we care about. So here's a perfect example. Like if you're generating code right now, it's kind of common that you might see something like a standalone true, which is modern Angular, except for in the recent versions, we've made the standalone component declaration optional, right? So you don't even have to put it, right? But then these, we want to use signals instead of the decorator based.
Got it. Okay, cool. That sounds great. Okay. One thing I would suggest is to pull up some of the code snippets that we want to use, and then we will go to the IDX folder, and we're going to create a new file. So you can actually hit close on those changes if you want, or we can just add something new.
Let me hit close on these for now.
Yep.
All right, and then do I need to do anything here with the
just close the Gemini chat for right now? Yeah, you can actually hit stop on the bottom right.
That's what I was looking for. Yeah, it was like I saw it doing something. Like I was like, "What are you doing? Stop!"
Yeah, no worries. Let's just go ahead and close Gemini. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna create a new file.
All right, so in the IDX folder.
Yep, and it's gonna be AI rules.md.
I did something
all lowercase.
Hold on. I am using a computer that I don't know how to use. Wait a minute. How to use a computer? See, every time I try to right click, I'm doing the wrong thing here. There we go. New file. And then AI rules.
One word.md.
Okay, Rody, tell us about this file.
Yeah, so AI rules, and we've even supported other formats like cursor rules and other stuff too. But AI rules is Firebase's Studio take on how you can customize your chat in your workspace. So one of the cool things about using these rules files is it allows you to ground the model with context about your preferences and your preferences in conjunction with this project. because it's checked into version control. Other people have the same rules when they load it up. But yeah, so like that's like at a high level. The other cool thing you can do is like give it links inside of here. Like, so you could like give it the Google style guide on something, or giving it a context on like
What?
do this. Yeah. One of the cool things about Gemini is it uses URL context. So you can parse URLs as more kind of like grounding. And so that's like a kind of a cool way. If it's not working, it's fine. We'll have another way to work with it, but at least that's what our docs talk about, and at least what we're aiming for. So one of the cool things that we can do is you can maybe give it a persona. So like we'll use like default markdown headings. So you can do like basically an H1, and we can say like persona, and then under that we can write a paragraph. And this is where you can say like, the classic examples like talk like a pirate. But here you want to say like, you are a seasoned web developer that writes modern CSS, and you prefer, or like, we're an Angular developer that's working, using, basically the latest versions of the library, which include signals and blah, 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 which kind of gives it a hint to the model to like pick and generate something that's going to be from at least a more recent data set, or put it into the same context space of where we're wanting to head. So we can, I'll defer to you on this persona. But
yeah. So while you were talking, I was trying to do what somebody in the chat said, which I thought was super cool. I was like, all right, can I use Gemini to help me generate the persona text?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I was like, can I do it? I don't know. Okay, but first, let me see if I can. So I'm gonna grab a window that's off screen, just because I don't want to show my corp tabs.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see. So I'm saying, can you help me write a persona for an Angular developer?
And we also have an ask mode for Gemini too. But I usually use the Gemini tool as well.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Can you help me write a persona for an Angular developer that uses to be this persona write persona paragraph. You gotta be like super specific, right? Because like you said, when you mentioned the whole photo thing or the dream thing of like you described it in 2 sentences and then you're surprised that it's not the output that you want, that really spoke to me. I can't lie to you.
Yeah.
I was like, that's really good. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm being more literal, or almost like when I'm talking to like my my son, I'm telling him like, if I'm like, hey, keep your eye on the ball, and then he puts his little eye on the ball, I can't be surprised if he didn't get the full context from like one sentence, right?
And so the persona, along that same analogy, is like us giving a screenplay like actor role to someone. And if you don't give any direction, it's a person has the freedom to do whatever. But if you have a very specific goal in mind for what you want the actor to do, that's what the persona is for. Here is what I'm deeming acceptable and how I want you to respond. And so when it encounters different types of things in the chat or whatever, it's gonna kind of look at this rules file and try to make a decision based on.
I love that. That's exactly what we want. All right, the paragraph in the library. This will be used for context, for prompting. Okay. Let's see if it does the right thing.
And then also I would suggest finding some modern snippets of the Angular TS, CSS, and HTML files that we'll use even as examples here too.
Wow, we can get there. Okay, so this is pretty close. We're gonna change it a little bit. Meet Alex. You don't have to be Alex.
Yeah, actually, we'll want to take out the name. We'll do, you're a dedicated developer. We can remove names. Sometimes that'll kind of confuse it, but let's see. Is it Angular 18?
No, it's not, but it's an 18 plus, so I'll give it a
okay.
I'll give it a break. I'll say 20 plus.
Then one more Alex.
Ooh, I didn't even write that. Passionately adopting signals for reactive state management.
Right on.
Embracing
Right
system
on.
law. Hey, listen. Oh, new control flow for 1 2. The temporal logic performance is paramount to you. Who constantly seeks to optimize standard detection, improve. Wow. Excuse me. This sounds like a great person. I want to hire this person.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's now add a new block. So this is a great persona.
Yeah, excellent.
Now we're going to do another top level heading for H2 actually for examples. And so we'll say like you can do a paragraph right under here and be like these are modern examples of how to write an Angular 20 component with signals and all the different things. And then I would literally paste like code blocks with the TS, CSS, and HTML tags, and then just like literally paste something from the docs, because this will kind of help. Or I would do like the triple backslash with TS.
Triple backslash, like 1 2 3, like that.
Backtick.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, like this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, then we'll do one for CSS.
Mm-hmm. And then after we do that, we can even say like when you update a component, make sure to put the styling in the CSS, the template and HTML and the logic and TS.
Okay.
Because sometimes I think you can do a single file Angular component, and I think this will just like, if that's your preference, you can put that here.
Yeah, I'll do separate because I want to fine tune, like I want to improve over time versus like try to nail it on the first. We don't have to. I guess I'm trying to say we don't have to zero shot these customizations, right? We can refine them and make it work better.
Exactly. Yep.
When you update a component, be sure to put the logic in the TS file, the CSS in the styles in the CSS file, and the HTML template in the HTML file. Can I say here is or can I say, let's see, style guide? Can I do that?
Yes, of course.
And then let me see. I have a link to the style guide I'm going to throw in here. Okay, so here is a link.
You could even throw in like how to use signals and maybe have your signals documentation too.
What? Stop.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, because like it, assuming it's using the URL context correctly and our docs are up to date, it's supposed to like parse the URLs as context and kind of like ground it.
Will it do it every time then, or do I only do it once? And like, what's the impact of if it has to go out and like?
Yeah, it should cache it. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it does it every time.
Sure. So here is a link to the style guide, to the most recent Angular style guide. So then I imagine if you are a developer looking to do something like this, let's say you're going to use Firebase Studio at your organization, you might put your like company style guide. And if it doesn't exist, maybe that's a project you do where you define the style guide so that way your generated code can match. Wow, that's interesting.
So a tip also for people doing that, even if you do have some elaborate resource somewhere, it's really important to include an MVP minimal representation of that resource in this top level file, because you want the TLDR and then a way to explore more elaborate information on it. That also just kind of helps the model to not get overfitted or too confused on one direction, and usually has led to a lot better generation.
Okay, so I got a little problem here. Let me see. All right. And this is not a problem, but like I don't know how far the context, like URL reading, will go. Like I don't know how deep it'll crawl. So what I'll do is this. I have some essentials guides.
Yep.
That are like the high level, like get started kind of with these technologies.
Yep.
And I wonder if I can throw those in here.
Yep.
And work with these people. Okay, so
that's exactly how I do my notebook LM too. I do that.
Is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Look at you, and you use notebook LLM. You're from the future, Rody. Yeah. Okay. Let me get back to my. Okay. Here we go. I got too many windows open. I'm trying to close them all because we believe, and this is a good test. We believe that if you follow our essentials guides, you will know what you need to know to get started.
Okay,
Right. Like
awesome.
so. Guess
Yeah.
what? We'll find out if that makes sense. Right. Like if it does. Okay. Cool. Cool. Cool.
So
Yeah.
one thing, yeah, let's also include the examples too.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, let
Uh,
me. Can I preface this with anything? Can I just say these are?
yeah, I would usually include description. Yeah. Mhm.
Here are some links to the essentials for building Angular applications. Use these to get an understanding of how some of the core content, or sorry, some of the core functionality
Mhm.
works. Okay, so I think we got some good. Okay, let's pause for a second and answer some questions before we do the examples.
Sweet.
Okay. Um. Okay. Right. So, Firebase Studio AI understand Angular better. That's kind of what we're working on because as we saw, it does generate working Angular code, but we know that you don't want to generate code and have to spend the whole time refactoring what's generated. As close as we can get to the fidelity that we're looking for is kind of our aim.
And also, everybody has their own preferences too.
That's true. So this file could help you to also define your own preferences. Really cool. I find AI too silly yet to understand Angular concept as simple as human beings can. Well, we're special, KK. You got to remember that. Like this thing up here, I'm being serious. This thing is special, right? Your brain is it's an incredible part of us. And artificial intelligence is one thing, but you got to remember something that's even more important. We're always working on artificial intelligence, but you're already intelligent. Don't
Yeah.
forget that.
I also found, I feel like as DevRel, it's been interesting working both in an age of targeting people and now LLMs, because now we start to think about resources that can be consumed easier for beginners, but also find ways to have ramps to more intermediate and advanced resources. And the easier that you can clearly explain what you're trying to do, also helps humans read stuff too. So I feel like it's been cool to see the movements around, like, people add LLMs text files or markdown links to resources on pages because humans, markdown is a human readable format, but it's great for LLMs. But by doing that, we're like trying to think about what is the condensed version of our docs that could fit in a markdown file. How do we strip out the noise? How do we get it there to make it super easy? And that actually just happens to benefit regular people too.
Wow. I just like that every project I started in Firebase Studio wants to use React and Next.js instead of Angular and Firebase Cloud Functions.
So the prototyper, currently our prototyper uses Next.js and Tailwind and GenKit. We wanted to have an opinionated experience that made it really easy to build quickly. We're exploring trying to make that work for more things, but right now it's not I want to generate this thing and it just generates it with whatever framework of your choice. Right now it's very guided, but I would suggest, especially after we have these AI rules, that you try out Gemini and Firebase, because you can give all the custom rules that you want and how you want it to generate and still use like the super fast previewing, the updating multiple files at once, adding changes. Like, it still is going to work pretty good.
Well, we're
One of
gonna
my
get there.
yeah.
No. You're fine. You're fine, Rody. Let me look at the time here because I know we've been hanging out and doing this. I know that I only booked you for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, I'll
So
be good. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, you just flagged me for get out of time. Okay, let's see. Absolutely use better use AI, same AI. Listen, we're all learning about how to do this stuff together. Like, I know it seems like, look, if you look at the news or like the internet, it seems like there are an elite set of like experts who know how to do everything, and that represents everybody. That's not true. We're all learning how to do this stuff together. Okay, that's enough comments for now. I'll come back and we'll do more console. I want to get this example in here. So I'm trying to think of the fastest way to get the code example.
So where would you want people to go to when they go to the docs to find like the best looking versions of modern components or HTML and stuff like that?
I don't know. I actually don't have a good answer for that. I don't
Okay,
have a good answer.
so then let's just basically copy the example that we have in the workspace, and maybe you could just switch it to signals and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I'm looking at the. We have our tutorial. So the tutorial is pretty good. So I'm trying to see if I could find like. Oh yeah. Okay. Here you go.
The other thing that I would suggest too for the examples
Yeah.
is also include like dot comments above like when it's defining an input signal, be like, this is how you can bind to the template directive, and then doing above like the component definition or whatever. Like you could even say like for the things that aren't there, like standalone is already enabled true by default, or something like that.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let me do this. Let me see if I can. I'm going to change one of these examples because this is like an example of some of the things we want to do. So we'll change this to a signal. We'll say true.
And we'd probably want template URLs since
Yeah.
if that's your preference for this.
Well, it'll be because that's what we just told it to do everything
Yeah.
separately, right? So we'll do template URL and we'll just call it. It's setting called at the HTML now. Friends at home. Don't get mad at us about the style guide change where we change the file names. Okay, don't get mad at us about this.
So one thing that I like to do here too, I'm curious if you've done this as well, but I like to kind of use a mustache style syntax here. So if you go up to the app TS,
let me see, what can I do here? I don't know if that matters or not, but okay.
So you could like basically where it says lowercase app, you could do like double curly braces and say like tag instead to like kind of hint to the model that this is the variable that you want to have updated.
Oh, like this?
Yeah, exactly. And I would say like tag name or whatever, and put that also for app HTML or
what?
Yeah,
even you are from a different planet.
Models are really good at like recognizing these patterns. And then I would also for the app name, I would say class name.
Yeah, like class name, and I'm even gonna do it like so you can kind of get an idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like that casing I want to use.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Pascal case, and then you could do if you want to do path case up there instead of a space for tag name.
Oh, kind of. Oh, so like you like this with
you could do path, so the hyphen instead.
That's called path case.
Yeah, that's what I believe. Yeah.
Oh no, it's fine.
Underneath. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's fine. I just want the people at home to tell me if they've seen path case before. Tell me if you all have known this and I just didn't know it. Like, let me know. You can't hurt my feelings. My feelings are just not at risk here.
And then, is there anything else you want to show off in the binding directives? Maybe define a function in there as well.
Sure. Like what kind of function are you thinking?
I don't know, like an on-click handler or something like that.
Oh, sure. Okay. So we could do.
It doesn't have to match the HTML. It's more just like an example of. Yeah,
sure.
But you could. Yeah.
And so we can actually show some like a click here.
Yeah.
So this is definitely not the canonical example that I would always use, but I think for today, this is fine, right?
Like maybe actually a different one could be the input, so it would show an event type passed.
You want me to pass in an input here?
Like an on change listener, like if you're
like an on change. Sure, I don't have a preference.
Cool.
All right, so but what should this be? Is this an input onto like what type of input are you thinking?
Text or something like that, yeah.
Sure, we can do that. But then I would normally do a model ng model here though.
Oh, well that's good to know. Yeah, I didn't know what the default is here.
See,
usually in web components I just like kind of bind directly.
Yeah, see, I would do an ng model. So instead of that, let me do the button thing for now.
Let's do the button then.
Yeah,
great. Yeah.
And then so here, I'm gonna take this out of here and I'll put it just like in a regular place, so it doesn't think through that. And then we'll say
cool
toggle server. Okay.
Great.
Status, and then inside this function, because it doesn't have to be perfect, but it should also this should be protected.
Okay.
Read only. Okay, and then we can have our like server or our function, right?
That allows you not to update the signal from the template, I'm assuming.
No, it's just so that way, like from like the class protection, like class
protection.
And so then that way you're not sitting here doing weird stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's like you can't change the reference to this, and then that it's kind of like immutable code, but not. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So this is right.
And then
Even in my example, it knew what to do.
okay, and then we could just do like a minimal CSS styling, but it doesn't have to be a lot. In the CSS, I prefer nested CSS. So maybe you could show an example of like app root or like whatever you want for your target selector, and then like maybe like because like if you hint at like modern CSS, like a where selector or a has query or something like that, I think it'll help with the direction of the model to know not to use Tailwind, or if you do want to use Tailwind to include
Never.
for that.
I don't know how to use it. Not because I don't like it. I don't know how to use it. I just never got
I
into
currently
it.
don't use. I use Tailwind in some stuff, but mostly in the prototyper. But yeah, I usually prefer like just nested CSS.
Sure. So if I do container, and you're saying like
One line
inside
down.
of here,
I think you're outside of the block. Is one.
I
line.
am outside of the block. You're right. Okay. Oops. Okay. So we're gonna do this. There's a lot of pressure to put the right example. Believe it or not, like I'm feeling like really tense right now.
Well, okay, that's one of the cool things about this is you can iterate on it. You can check it into version control. If you find that you want to tweak it, I'll show you how to make changes. And once we have an example, this is kind of another thing that I use a lot in my AI workflow is like I get the first draft out and then I use Gemini to refine it and make future edits. So you may like take this and have it generate more examples based on the ones that you provided. And it already is going to be a lot closer to what you're wanting.
That sounds right. All right, and then I'm gonna just say for my container style, and then I'll say sure. Oh, that's fine. I don't really care about that.
Perfect.
Yeah, I just want to have something in there. All right, we got a question though that I think we should answer. All right, since this is a web app, is it possible to do inference using a locally running LLM off a local port? Doing that with VS Code Continue plugin, I guess the actual code is remotely hosted.
So
is there a way to do this?
I mean, we don't have a GPU in the VM. So, I mean, if you ran maybe the 1 billion model from Gemma, you probably could. But yeah, we have a way to do public ports, but because Firebase Studio runs in the browser, you would have to have that LLM running. But one of the cool things about the Gemini API is it includes Gemma on the URL. So if you did want to try out other models, you could even specify that in the chat. But yeah, using Continue, I don't think you'd be able to use a powerful enough LLM to make it work locally.
Wait, stop for a second. First off, friends at home, specifically you, Alcatraz, I don't even know what you're talking about. What is continue? Like you all are from like a different universe with this like cool stuff. I don't even know what that is. Now I got some more stuff I need to look up. Let me see if we have a kebab case. Okay, you got it.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Kebab case. Let's see. Sweet. May you also use Pug instead of HTML?
I'm not sure. Is that a common thing with Angular?
No, it's more because we're using like the mustache style. But this is just to help the model. This isn't really like syntax.
Yeah, right? It's not explicit. It's like kind of pseudocode.
Yeah, it's like pseudocode. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Make sure we're answering questions. Let's see. I got an error part to generate HTML inside the TS. Also add component HTML. Interesting. Okay, well, all right. Enough of my talking. Let's do this and like actually try it. And
let's add one more line in the CSS to show the nested button selector.
All right, you gotta tell me what you mean when you say that, because I'm not sure that I'm familiar.
Yeah, like so. Add a new line.
Inside of here.
Yeah,
I need Sass for that.
It'd just be you just do button and then like the open and curly braces.
Yeah. Oh, I'm saying, but like, is this a Sass thing or this is a native CSS thing?
No, this is native CSS now. Yeah.
Oh, you can do this now.
Yeah. That's why I was wanting to show it, because it kind of hints that this is like a modern approach that's supported on all the browsers. I use a
Stop it.
Yeah, it's pretty great. And then we'll delete that closing brace right there. Yeah. Cool. So this should be great. So now the next thing that we're going to do, we have a first draft of our AI rules. So we're going to hit Command P. And then we're going to do the triangle or the forward caret. Yep. And we're going to do rebuild workspace.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so once we, so AI rules.md is loaded at build time, like when the workspace is being built.
You can also load it in the chat by saying telling Gemini to load the AI rules MD file. But yeah, by default, it'll run at workspace creation, because ideally you're not changing the AI rules that much.
Right.
It's very like you're explicit about it, because everything else should be grounded in the chat.
Yeah. Okay, friends at home who are just joining us, I'm joined by the one, the only, the amazing Rody Davis from the Firebase Studio team, and we're working on the AI rules.md and some code generation in Firebase Studio to provide a better experience for you as an Angular developer when you're trying to like get Gemini to generate code for you or whatever model. So this AI rules works no matter which model, right? Or is it only for Gemini?
Correct. No, it's any model. Yeah, it's just the Gemini chat.
Look look at that. Okay, friends, that's pretty amazing, right? Like that's not even like, oh, you gotta use like only for Gemini. This is for any model. We're using Gemini. That's the default model in here. But listen, we're trying to get something cool working because I typed something before. Oh, it's not there. It's okay.
So if you click the history button,
Where is it? Let me see. I don't see history.
up by the add button on the top left of the
Yeah.
you should be able to see that. Yeah.
Let's go. I just want my prompt back. That's what I want because I want to run it again fresh.
So I would copy that and delete the chat right there.
Yep. Delete. Get
And then
out of here.
Yeah.
All right.
It's showing the old version. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go over our prompt one more time.
Mhm.
And we'll say create a to-do component updating both app.html, app.css, and app.ts. Now, the reason we're listing the files is that Rody was letting us know that when you're prompting, especially in this context, we're trying to generate code, giving more specifics can help to get a more accurate output that you want.
Also, I think some people have experienced in Gemini with Firebase that like they asked for a change but didn't update anything. If you're explicit about saying, I want you to update this file, it'll very likely make those changes.
Okay, so we're just trying to influence it to do more of what we want.
Mhm.
Okay, good. And then the component should accept an input with the label of to do, the status of the label of the to do, and the status of the to do. The component should also strike through the label if the to do is marked as complete. So this is a good start. I'm going to submit it using the built-in Gemini model. You see that? So friends who are just joining, we got some options here, but we're going to use the built-in Gemini model here, and then I'm going to click submit, and it's thinking. Okay, let's see. While it's thinking, let's see. Continue. There's a VS Code extension to get similar functionality to this, but it won't hit an API in the cloud. Oh, instead hits the LM. Oh, cool.
Right, but you need a GPU to be able to run it, and the VM is running in your browser. So
yeah,
but it's super cool. Yeah,
that is very cool. So I have to get a computer with a GPU because I know my Mac has one, but I really like it. So glad that you're enjoying this, which is why I should have local PC remote. Oh, okay. That's why you would like that. Got it. Love the UX of Firebase Studio. So very interested. Good. Awesome. I'm so glad that you all are having a good time. Let's go. Okay. I'm glad you're excited because I'm excited. Let's see. Kevin reposted this stream. Oh, thanks, Kevin, for reposting this stream. Let's go.
Nice.
All right. Let's see what happened.
Okay, cool. Let's do review changes. Let's see if it's picked up our stuff.
So I didn't tell it anything about it. Didn't do any of the stuff that I asked it to do.
Let's make sure that we load it in.
Yeah, so I never said standalone true as the default. I didn't say anything about that. I mean, I'm sure this code works, but it's still using the old input and the old
Okay, so now we can do our next level of iteration on the AI rules. You can explicitly say what not to do.
Let's do it because I want it to be right.
Yeah. So I would do under the HTML block.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also close the Gemini chat if you want.
Yeah, we got it. We'll close the preview for right now. Okay, so let's get to do some more stuff that we want.
Yeah. So let's do under the TS file maybe. Let's say we'll do the negation. We'll do like do not include standalone true because it's by default.
Typing while people are watching. standalone true because it is default and Angular. I think it's 19. Did we make
Yeah.
standalone true default of 19 chat? Anybody know?
It might have been more recent. Yeah.
Yeah, but let's just say 20 for that because this one is for me. So
Yeah.
we'll refine it.
And then we will also say like, you could even include like, no, yeah, that should be fine. Yeah. And then we'll say, we will want to say, I guess you don't want to use the input and outputs because
right.
it's the decorators. And so I would do a new line for this.
Got it. Oh, interesting. Okay.
So,
Good.
Yeah.
Use the input signal instead. Can I say something like learn more and then give it a URL?
Yeah, I would. Yeah. Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I want you to do.
And then I do a period at the end of that. And then I would also add a new space between those two rules just to kind of give it some separation for tokenization. And then I would say like, I would also be explicit about the output one. You can also just copy and paste that line.
Oh, sure thing.
I mean, is it an output signal?
But it's not a signal, but we will use the I would say the output. It's syntactically similar, but not a signal.
Oh, okay. Is it a computed?
Nope, it's just a function.
Oh, okay. Got it.
It's the output function. Instead, learn more about the output function here. That's not right.
Yeah.
That's a good guess, but that's not right. Yeah. That's so funny. I don't get offended by when LLMs like do stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's a good guess, right? And this is also what I tell people all the time, like, you know, your understanding and your knowledge is like super important because if you didn't know anything and it suggested that, it looks right. It looks correct. So, you know, this is why you're valuable because you know what to do.
Totally. Yeah.
All right. Let's rebuild with just these things and see what happens.
Okay, so we don't have to rebuild the workstation. I'll show you the other way how to do it.
Oh, sure.
So let's go ahead and close the diff right there on the third tab.
Yeah.
Let's do a new Gemini chat. You can actually do in the bottom, or you can do that too. Yeah, that's perfect.
Oh, that's okay. I'm just clicking on stuff.
Yeah, either way. Yeah, it's good to show the different options. Let's copy our prompt and reset again.
Okay, copy this, and then I'm going to delete.
Yeah.
Okay, confirm.
And then we're going to, before we paste in your prompt, say load AI rules.md.
Load AI rules.md, just like that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Stop it. Please stop it.
This should read the file for, yep. Perfect.
Stop it.
Yes. Okay, cool. Now paste in your prompt.
Stop it. That's so cool. Oh, man, that's so cool. All right. While it's generating, let's see. We saw that comment. Make sure.
Looks like it is using the new input and output.
Oh, let's go. It knew what to do.
Yeah.
All right. Let me get back to this window here. All right. Oh, that's amazing. Let's review our changes. And we're already getting closer.
And it also doesn't do the input standalone.
Standalone.
It also
did required.
Yeah, that's cool. Nice.
Let's create this file, Rody.
All right. You can even do Command Enter if you want to do it automatically, but yeah.
Oh, Command Enter. So like anywhere, just do it.
You can just click Create File or hit Save. Either one.
No, I did Command Enter from the window.
Perfect. Now it added to do, and then now it's adding another file because this is going to do a multi-step change.
Okay, so I'm just going to let it create the file. Okay, create the file.
So this is the template, and now it's going to add the CSS.
All right, let me be honest with you. What you said is starting to like become, you know, in a new like true to me in a new way. Okay, what happened? Why are you complaining?
Now it should try again. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What? It didn't like something it did?
No, I think it hit an error. It'll be an agentive loop, and it'll go past it. Yeah.
So I was gonna say is that so like while we're still, the whole prototyper thing, while that's happening, right? I think what's interesting is that like with the sophisticated enough prompt and the sophisticated enough AI rules, I can kind of simulate a prototyper right now.
For sure. Yeah. Also, if you go to line 3, I think it updated a full path. Let's make that a relative path.
Let's see.
Yeah. I don't know why it pulled from this report. We could just make it to-do.ts.
Oh yeah.
Probably a sample file.
Okay, and there's a dot slash to do. Where is it? Where is it?
To-do.js, it looks like.
Oh, that can't be right. Then we gotta fix that. Which
Yeah.
which we can. We
Yep.
can fix that. There is no to-do.js.
Oh. Why? Where is this file then?
Okay, so let's fix that.
Okay.
We can say because I don't know what's going on. Okay, so we should be able to just do dot slash and then to do. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Not component. Yeah,
And
not
we just didn't
component.
need to include the suffix. Okay. And then router outlet is
It's just not being used.
okay.
This is the Anglo language service.
Okay, cool.
So we got that, and I can't wait till we get selector lists in general, so you don't have to
Yeah.
even do this. That's coming. We're working on it.
So how would that work with does it just bind to the root or something?
Yeah, it's a surprisingly complex problem.
Yeah.
Which is why we haven't released it.
Okay, got it.
So
Okay.
it's surprisingly complex
Cool.
to do this, but we are working on it. Let's see. Where's my preview?
Okay, so now if you ever want to pull up your preview, I think we actually added it to the toolbar in the bottom, but you can also do it from the
Oh
command
yeah, I
prompt.
see it. I see it right there. Preview right next to Gemini.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay, let's see.
So this is a cool. I think we can actually show off. Like, is this the warning or is this an error?
This is the error. Yeah. The
Okay,
type
so
of.
we can actually copy this error into Gemini to help us fix it if you want.
I'm gonna copy everything, even the line number.
If you scroll down, I think there is if you click up on the web console, the error on the bottom.
Up right here. Yes.
Okay, that's just V. Sometimes the error will show there, and we have like a chat continue with Gemini there as well. So yeah, we just copy the full thing.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna. Now we know how to fix this.
And
Chat.
what is that error, by the way?
It looks like the type because let's see. Okay, this is correct. Look,
To-dos.ts? Or
yeah. So I'm looking at this to see what the types are here. So the types look correct. So if we go to our to do component, maybe something about the input is not right. So it has a to do. Why don't you like this? You should like this. This shouldn't be a problem.
okay, maybe we could restart the web preview, maybe just as a
I don't know. See if
a
anybody
hard
said
restart.
signal. Oh, that's not that. Okay, here's another rule. Use Signal Store for state management. What's up,
Nice.
Alex? What's up? What's
Nice.
up? Good to see you. Yeah. Oh, so the people say, yeah, we did announce it in 19. I thought it was 19.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, signal, sanitation push to require component. Okay, I'm gonna answer this after, but I don't want. But Rody doesn't have as much time as I do for this today, so I don't want to lose his time. So I will answer your question after, friends. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
All right. Let me put this in the chat, and let's see if we can get it to just figure out. So do I have to type anything, or I can just?
Yeah, you should just do that. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I just want to be nice. I can't change my.
You can. So sometimes I put the error inside of a code block, and I say like, fix this error, whatever. But I've also found that sometimes just pasting it works too.
No, I don't know why I like to do it this way, but
no, it's a good way to kind of guide it so you're like into an active instead of a passive chat. I do think that's a good approach. Okay.
Now let's see what it wants to change. Why do you want to change so much?
So you can hit review.
Yeah. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Nope. I don't want you to do that. No.
Yeah. So you can hit the undo on the left.
Okay. So
on the diff, like all the way on the left to the green.
Oh, here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that the only change you want to do? Because that ain't right.
And then just hit save, I think.
Yeah, but like, why does it want to do that?
And then close out that file too.
Okay. Let's see.
So this is part of like prompting models. Like if there's something that's overfitted into a training set of like old versions of CSS or old versions of Angular. We have to teach it how to do the new stuff. Okay.
So what does it think is the problem? Okay, let's see. Type of to do component undefined is not successful. Oh, why would it be no? The type is wrong.
Oh,
Why do you think you want to use to do component? Is that what happened in our app.ts? Let's look. Let's have a look.
maybe it did an import issue.
Yeah. Okay. So we got import. So this is correct.
Okay. And if we
What? Oh, that's why. Wait. No, that's correct.
do we need the router outlet or anything else here?
Okay, hold on 1 second. We don't need the router outlet, but I want to say, okay, we get this out here. Let me make sure because I think it followed the style guide.
Mm.
And so it has to do.ts. Okay, I want to make sure that the to do. So this is to do component, which is what we want. Okay, so then let me go back and let me have a look.
And also, I want to.
Oh no, it's working.
Oh, okay.
It was never broken. It just maybe needs to be restarted, like you said a long time ago.
No worries.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, right on. Yeah. Yeah, maybe it just had like an old version of the app component and was hot reloading it. Because we do try to like do the Vite hot module replacement. So
yeah, look at that. We did it.
Right on.
I mean,
yeah.
Go ahead. What are you gonna say? I'm sorry.
I would say so one of the cool things about this is like one, like I said, you can check it into version control and you can include it. Also, I would really love to ask from your community too. Like if there's an amazing rules file that we can create, let's put it in the official Firebase Studio template. And then one other thing, if you click on the Firebase Studio extension on the left sidebar.
Okay, left sidebar.
The bottom icon.
Yeah.
One of the cool things that you may run into, is like, I'm wanting to work in a workspace, but like it's not in GitHub yet. Well, if you click on the share icon right there beside,
stop it.
Yeah, you can actually add people's emails and give them a link to Firebase Studio, and you can be working in pair programming in the same machine as if you're like literally right next to each other. So it's like really great for synchronous programming. And then also we have plenty of hosting and deployment options there too. So if you hit cancel right here and scroll down as well.
Yeah.
Even if you want a Gemini API key, we can auto provision one for you here without you having to leave Firebase Studio. And there's, a bunch of other interesting stuff as well. So a lot of cool things to try out. Even if you're used to working locally, you can use this as a sidecar to kind of develop. And sometimes when you want a different experience. And then if you're an Angular library author or someone that's working in some type of like examples and stuff, we make it really easy for you to have an open in Firebase Studio button that you can just add to your Markdown docs. And so like someone can open up and have this experience already without having to do anything.
We had that for IDX on ADEV to open in IDX. So we're going to update it to be open in Firebase Studio. And I would love to do that. And in terms of that file, today's exercise already was to start that like template file. So
sweet.
We want to totally get community support on this too. We're going to check this. So here's what's going to happen, friends at home, as you're watching. Like I said, as we're building, you all may have experiences and things that need to go into AI rules that is going to benefit for everybody. So our AI rules is going to end up not only on GitHub, right? But we're also going to put it on ADEV. And so you can go there and be like, hey, we need to update this. We need to add these better things. Here's some better canonical examples. Like, let's work together to like make the prompts and the tools that we need to serve the Angular community. So we're really excited about it because I would love to see the AI rules at MD be able to be as effective even in an enterprise scenario, right? Because right now it works in a to-do app, but our community are enterprise developers, and they're building scalable web apps that serve millions of people. And we want to make sure that when they're doing code generation, especially if they're going to use a tool like this, they get the best outcome. So I'm super excited. Rody, this has been so much fun today.
Yeah, and then one other thing on AI rules.
Yeah, please.
Also, just for viewers, try not to think about them as a one size fits all. Like these are like the opposite. It's a specific context driven way to ground the model. So like if you want to have multiple AI rules at your company, you could have one for your beginners and junior developers that are getting onboarded to the code base, and you can have another one for more advanced developers that can like know more. So like you could say for a junior developer, you could have it be like always explain the changes and include like a list of steps on how to do this, or like always use a chain of thought to be able to say what you're going to do before doing it. And you could have a model that's like more elaborate. And then for a senior dev, you could be like, make sure to always update tests and run the tests, and make sure that you're always doing these 3 things every time you make a change to a file. So, or make sure the README is always up to date, or the chain, like you can customize it, but it's not a one size fits all. Like you definitely want to have different experiences for different people coming to it.
Wow. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Let's see. I think, Rody, we got a few minutes left.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see if there are any questions or comments that.
One more thing. Can
Yeah,
you click
please.
on the preview on the top right of the web preview?
Mm-hmm.
We have a couple different things which are important to call out. One is we have Lighthouse built right in, so to the right sidebar. If you click that, you can actually run Lighthouse on your web app directly from Firebase Studio, so you can close that. The other thing that you can do is if you click on that share icon, the second link right beside that one.
This one?
Yeah. If you click on that, we'll have a QR code where you could actually run. So it's not public right now, so you don't have to worry about it.
Oh, I was going to say, I'm not showing them my QR code. No way.
Yeah. So since it's private, nobody's going to be able to connect to it. But
okay.
So essentially, this will have a QR code where people can scan and run it on their phone. and by making preview public, you could make it available to everyone while your VM is active. But like right now, you would only be able to run it because you have access to the VM. And then the final button is on the icon, you can actually open up the web preview into a new tab. And that will should open up in this Chrome window. And so you can have a full screen version of it, which allows you to use the built-in Chrome dev tools like you may be used to, or maybe have 2 tabs open. So there's a lot of flexibility even in customizing this experience too.
Fantastic. Okay, friends, let's get some questions about Firebase Studio. Let's get some questions about working with LLMs in Firebase Studio. Over to Rody right now. This is a great time. We're going to answer some questions, friends, and we'll go from there. Did I see this comment? His another role in the Signal store. I think it's pretty great. Pasting work saves time as well. I agree to that. Let's see. I was on Alex Workshop. Nice to see all of you here. Hey, here, Alex is awesome. I just got to see Alex at Google I/O recently, I believe.
Oh,
right?
awesome.
We're at Google I/O, Alex, together. Alex actually used to work on Firebase. Yeah. Don't use text decoration like triple text. It takes extra tokens. Should we have consideration about this?
Yeah, I guess this is a preference, but I found that Gemini is usually pretty good at encapsulating where you're defining code. If you don't want to use triple backticks, some people use XML opening and closing tags. So you could say like example open, example.
Oh, sure.
close.
I've seen this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I do like to wrap my code. So it's very clear that this is like semantically different.
So if tokens are important, if you're trying to conserve tokens, because again,
Gemini does have 1 million tokens. So you do have plenty of context window here as well.
Yeah, but it costs people money to use the tool. So I get it. Good feedback. So let's see. Hey, who is this? Oh, what's up, Hamza? Good to see you as always. Nice background. Thank you. This is real, and I built this.
That's
awesome. Tell people that I built this. This is a real background. It's not thing. All right, Lars, good stuff. So glad that you're enjoying. Yeah. Okay. Very cool. All right. So I think the next step that what I would love to do, like I said, we're gonna develop this. Some other people on the engineering team are also working on some prompts. I would love to see if I could combine the prompts together, and I'm really interested in trying to make a prototyper in Firebase Studio IDE mode, just by giving it really good instructions and AI rules and a really nice prompt.
Yeah, in fact, something kind of maybe as an experiment for viewers at home, go to Gemini and say, ask it to do a common Angular CLI command. because one of the cool things about Gemini and Firebase is it can run terminal commands directly from the chat.
Like tool calling.
Yeah, exactly. Like tool calling. So you could even say, when you add a new component, run ng create, the component name, to where it even is running the CLI for Angular for you. And then you have it update the files after that.
Which is what you kind of want in some cases, because here's the thing that we know about LLMs. They're non-deterministic, right? So you might get some things that happen.
Yep.
But if you're able to leverage like the existing deterministic tools in conjunction with some of the like behavior that LLMs are really good at, right? Because I look at an LLM, and I saw somebody say this, and I think it's really accurate. Kelsey Hightower said this once on Blue Sky. He was like, LLMs are really great for like cases where there would be a lot of if statements in your programming because you have to make so many decisions.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I wanted to like be able to do that, but also I already know how to make a component, and I know how to make a component to the current guidelines that I have, to my current project setup. So like being able to do both together is really interesting.
Yeah, totally. Exactly.
Yeah. Let's see. This is in browser. Any performance overhead? Oh, good question. All right. So this is in browser. Any performance overhead with this? Could we see a desktop native version? A lot of interest in the Z editor, which is Rust based due to VS Codium derivatives, which I assume this is built on. So is there a future or any ideas around a Firebase Studio native version?
I think so one of the interesting things is we currently support web, right? And I think a lot of people ask for a native desktop version, and I think that a lot of people have really nice, powerful dev machines, and I think that's really cool. But we see a lot like in emerging markets, or people in education, or people around the world, like, having access to just a web browser is already a huge benefit. So if you can go to our URL and have a full VM workstation set up every time, like that's a huge deal. And the other thing with that too is I think taking Firebase Studio out of the computer would be even more interesting too, like in XR environments, like whether it be on Apple or Android. And so now you're like in VR coding, which I've done a lot of. And like, you can't do that with a local development, but you can with a web-based IDE. And so I think trying to get beyond, the limitations of just having a really powerful CPU. Now you can have a shareable workspace that is, very collaborative and can have multiple people working in it, is an experience that's hard to do when everybody has an installed desktop version. And we're trying to get away from everybody having to set up and configure their path, because everybody has a unique version of dependencies. Not only that, we're built on top of NixOS, which allows you to have your environment work every time.
So and I actually we worked together on a project that I was doing where I was like, I have to do a class or something. I was teaching some Angular. Oh, I was teaching Angular. That's literally it. I was teaching Angular, and I needed everybody to have like no install time. And I was like, I don't want anybody's machine configuration, even though I did end up running into a problem, but that was my problem where I didn't include, I think, an npm install in the Nix file. So then when people were trying to get started, they couldn't get started immediately. But that's the point being, though, from an education point of view, especially, like a pre-configured environment that has the same capabilities regardless of the machine is really interesting. But this is a good point, because we have a range of developers out there. Some folks have really powerful machines. Like it sounds like Alcatraz has a really powerful machine because he's running Olama and running VS Continue, right? So he wants to take advantage of the power locally. So that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, let's see. Good job. You learn a lot when our environment is Angular. Yeah, you do learn a lot. I love Angular, but I'm biased because I've been working on this project. Oh, friends, guess what this month is? June is 5 years since I joined the Angular team.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah, so because you and I joined Google around the same time, right? Like
it'll be 5 years for me at Google too.
Yeah. So 5 years at Google, 5 years ago, joined the Angular team.
That's wild. Yeah, congrats.
Yeah, same to you. I mean, 5 years is a big deal. Big deal. A question: would Firebase Studio be able to build the Angular source repo like Bazel in WSL? Is really tricky. Oh, I see.
So there's a really interesting project out there that I've been exploring, which is Nix plus Bazel. So NixOS defines all the binaries, and Bazel is really good at building application modules. And there's actually a project out there that you can search that combines Nix and Bazel together. And we're trying to see if there's like a possibility of using that in Firebase Studio, because that could be the best of both worlds. But yeah, we see a lot of people build, you can build pretty big code bases. I think it's like 100 gigs or something like that.
All right. Okay, hold on one second. Somebody's like, hey, where's my answer? Okay, let me answer your question. Since Angular 20 implemented zoneless and signal, is chain text and unpush still required on component for performance? Yes. Sorry about that. You asked this question very patiently a long time ago. I did not get to it. So zoneless is in developer preview. Most of our signal APIs are in stable mode. Okay. Sweet. Chain detection on push, I would say this. Required for performance, I mean, I think that's just a community standard at this point that people think this is the best way. And so, yes, so you can still use it. Now, what you're really asking about is, did we get to the point of the signal component yet? Right? Which is like signal, like fine grained reactivity all the way down and like really driving chain detection. That's still on forthcoming. Let's see. Congrats, Mike. You've been great to this community in face. Hey, listen. I work on an amazing team with a lot of amazing people who work really hard, and I'm grateful that I get to be a part of it. So, really, really, really happy. Let's see. We're using Angular since V1. Believe it or not, my career trajectory is really interesting. I was a Java developer writing Java beans and J2EE code. Then I saw Angular V1, and I was like, this is the future. So I switched my whole path from a back-end engineer to a front-end engineer with Angular. I worked on Angular for years up until Angular 2 came out. And then I was working at a financial org. Then after that, I switched to React for a while. I was actually teaching React. And then while I was teaching React, I wanted to make a mobile app. And then I was like, oh, what should I use? Should I use React Native? Should I use this other thing called Titanium, which does not exist anymore? A tool called Ruby Motion. Mm-hmm. And then this thing called Flutter came out. And then that's how I got into the Flutter community, was because I was building a startup and I wanted to build a mobile app. And then when I joined Google, I ended up, like I said, not getting that manager job. Yeah. Which I'm glad I didn't. I mean, the Flutter manager is actually excellent, and he is the right person for that job. And I ended back in the Angular community. So let's see. I was trying to install .NET SDK in IDX through Nix, but it doesn't allow it. Do you know anything about this?
You should check out we have a .NET template, so you can try it out. And that should have all the configuration ready. Yeah.
Wait. Okay. Can I just say what I love about this idea of Firebase Studio? Okay, I'm gonna go back real quick. So we did our project. I'm gonna save this. Not gonna go anywhere. If I were to look down here, here's what I really love. You see all these things down here? Mm-hmm. There's Java, Python, .NET, Android Studio, so we do some mobile development, Flutter. Okay, next, Node. Okay, GenKit, Astro, all this stuff. Here's why this got me really excited, friends. Again, let's get back to our engineering brains. If you want to learn something new that you've been you've been really interested in, you're like, but I don't want to do the setup. I don't want to do the setup. I never want to do the setup. Like, jump in right now. Like, that's why I go to Firebase.studio and just start coding in that with one of these. That's wild to think about. You could do that.
Yeah, it's like try before you buy. You know, you want to see if you're going to love it before you set it up locally.
And then you can even get some templates too. There's a .NET template. I can click on this. Let me just click on this. Let me see what happens.
We even have a lot of people using the Laravel template as well. You know, that's been cool to see.
Oh, I don't know what any of this means. I'm just going to click Blazor app.
Yeah, this should use the WASM build.
Okay, sure. Because I'm like, I don't know what any of that means. You can't get me to, I don't really know. But this is interesting.
Yeah, I would definitely suggest, if there is a stack you're trying to use and trying to import your existing projects, go to one of our templates that usually matches it and see if you can copy over the Nix files. If you're running into issues of something that doesn't exist, reach out and we can see if we can make a new template or guide you through that. Our forums are really popular, and then also we're in the Firebase community.
Yeah, no, amazing. Again, I know it sounds like, well, of course you think it's amazing, Mark. You work at Google, but
it's nice.
I wouldn't have invited Rody if I didn't think that this was awesome. Like, I think this is beneficial and it's interesting to our community. So, look at all this. Okay, so now if I knew how to write some .NET, which I used to know.
Yep, same.
I would look at that, and you can install this if right off the bat. Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah, sometimes you'll see that pop up if it's there's like a race condition of installing extensions, but yeah.
All right. So my app could run. How do I preview this? Like in
If
a
you go to the
terminal?
IDX dev.next, it should show if the preview is selected. Let's move that over to
Oh, something's on the web.
yeah.
Something's
Okay,
happening.
it is going to be web preview, so you can just close it. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Something's on the web is about to happen. Pretty cool. But yeah, so if you want to try this, this is just something available to you. But I'm super, super excited about all of this stuff. I just think there's just so much cool stuff happening. Let's see. Good thing Mark playing in front of Xamarin. Hey, listen, Xamarin was on my list.
Same.
The only reason I didn't try Xamarin at the time is that I think .NET and C# they also had an interesting conflict of where like people were trying to figure out what's the right version of this, what's the right tooling to put it all together, and it was a little confusing for me at the time, but I still think it's cool. I just didn't get it to start it.
For me, I was working at a .NET shop when I found out about Flutter, and the first thing was like, well, why not Xamarin, right? And for me, it was actually, I don't think our server could have handled all the mobile apps versus the few amount of web apps that they had. So like they were expecting a certain amount of scale. And then so that's actually how I found out about Firebase. So we could store a lot of our collections in Firestore, scale out, and then basically just sync with the API server on .NET. So yeah, obviously there's different tools for different things, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh wait. Okay. So we're out of time, but I'll show that this actually worked though.
Yep. There it is.
There it is. They got a Hello World app here. Let me close this down for a second. Yeah. So there you go. So I mean, sure, there's some things that we can do. I don't know. This is required asset to build and debug. Okay, I'm not gonna do that because I don't know what I'm doing. But the idea that this exists, and like in our conversation, I'm able to like boot up a .NET. I can go to a tutorial in a different tab right now.
Yep.
And then I can just start like learning. This is pretty rad. This is pretty rad. Okay, last question, and then I think we're gonna call it for today. And this is not the last time we're gonna have Rody on because this has been amazing. Mark, I've been using GitHub Copilot and VS Code since some time. This is really promising. Yeah, Ravi Kumar. Like, I'm so glad that you are finding some opportunities here. Again, what we care about is that you build great applications. That's what we care about.
Totally.
How you do it is up to you. Okay. Build cool stuff. Glad that this looks cool to you. All right, friends. Definitely let's show a lot of love to Rody in the chat. Because if you do, maybe he'll come back and show us that compressed RAG thing workflow he was talking about. I would love to see that. I would love to have a stream where you just show him how to use it. So show a lot of love in the chat. So he'll come back. Rody, thank you for hanging out with us. It's been a blast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was awesome.
Yeah. All right. All right, friends at home. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being part of Angular community. And listen, whether you use Angular, React, Vue, C#, whatever it is, it's okay because all we care about, that you get out there and you build great apps.
Yeah, and it's firebase.studio for the URL, and then we even have an Angular template that you can share with your friends too.
And the Angular. You know what? Look, before we forget, let me put the firebase.studio in the chat there. Firebase.studio.
And then the Angular template studio.firebase.google.com/new/Angular.
Let's go. Let's go. Everything's there. All right, friends. We'll catch you the next time.
Awesome.
Be awesome.
Bye.